we haven't even begun yet, and I've already heard about 16 words that I don't understand.
We're talking about religion. Nobody really understands.
It's a
I'm
mystery.
hearing a little bit of an echo.
From us?
Nope, it's gone now. Cool.
Okay.
Welcome everybody to the what show is this, Steve?
310.
I always forget.
I'm going to guess.
I mean the name of the show.
Oh, non-sequitur or non-sucky something or other.
That's right. Yeah.
Non-sequitur?
Well, yeah. And we have another dynamic Digital Hammurabi. You are not.
Who?
You do not have the monopoly on cute, highly educated couples. And to demonstrate that, we have we're like the match game for academics and scholars here. That's what we are. And then we turn around and have shows about the Earth being flat. So it's a you get your wide range here. Speaking of which, by the way, welcome to the show, Jerry Griffith and Dr. Misha Griffith. It's great to have you both here. I can't wait to hear the presentation tonight. But I wanted to get something out of the way, starting out. And before I do that, tomorrow Miles Powers will be here. We're going to be talking about pseudoscience and harmful snake oil salesmen, how not to be duped, that sort of thing. Friday, Lord Rael's emissary and his grace or something like that, some highly religious sounding title, will be here on to represent Lord Rael, so that would be fun. And then on Saturday, it's another Flatterday night where we will have Brother Ernest and Reds will be here. And then on Sunday, the Golden Nuns, which you two are, I will say, it is neck and neck between Dr. Griffith and Digital Hammurabi. So who will win out for the non-sec show's Educator of the Year? They are neck and neck. I can't say which way it's leaning, but it's very close. So tune in Sunday for that. We had an interesting thing happen today. I got a link literally minutes before we came live, and I actually haven't had a chance to listen to it either. But this person sent me a link saying that Mark Sargent, who, if you don't know who Mark Sargent is, he's a founding father, if you will, of the flat earthdom. He's one of the go-to guys. He does uploads all day long, but he was sent an email yesterday. I didn't know this until just a second ago, but it was Steve that actually sent this email, because I jumped on to the call and I was telling Steve and everybody in the Griffiths about us wanting to play this clip. And Steve said, well, I sent him an email last night, and apparently he's responding to your email, Steve. Now, we're all hearing it together. I haven't heard it. So, Dave, let's put up Mr. Sargent's. You have to forgive me too. My allergies are messing with me today, so I sound really stuffed up. But let's hear what Mark Sargent has to say.
Hey, Steve, please check your sent files and note what you just did there. Hey, Mark, I believe you said you would be willing to come on Non-Sequitur show to engage with Red's rhetoric or someone similar. Would you still be interested to do that in December? That's from Steve McCrae, co-host of the Non-Sequitur show. No, I have never said once that I would be on the Non-Sequitur show. I'm sorry, you guys play dirty pool. It's a rigged game. You're awful people. I mean, there's other people that are worse, I suppose, but the fact that you have Red's rhetoric is, championing your cause, it does not help you. In fact, I've said that on somebody called in, but could have been Steve, called into my show and said, asked the same thing. No, I'm not going to be doing the Non-Sequitur show anytime soon. I actually hope that other people, if you got a wild hair up your butt, I suppose you could do, if you really felt like debating and you had no other outlets and it's like, I got to get a debate in, sure, go on that show. Just be prepared that you in no way will be treated fairly when you do this. And
no way.
And the people they have debating, it's a gang fight and it never ends well. But no, 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 and no.
Okay. All right.
Moving on.
So,
This one.
a couple of things. Mark Sargent, it never goes well because your side never brings an argument. It doesn't not go well for anything that Steve or I or anybody that has anything to do with this show does. We are more than fair. The issue is this. In a debate, when you have two sides that are going against each other, the losing side is always going to look to everything else they can to blame, other than the fact that they don't have an argument. So the easiest thing to do is to blame either the venue on not being fair, technical issues, you were interrupted. It's never, ever the person that's having the debate has just a shitty argument. And time again, week after week, every time we do these shows, that's all that you have. You even had Jaronism, who is one of the biggest Flat Earth channels on here, admit during a debate that he didn't have at a debate that he was supposed to bring his model. So you say that we are awful people because actually I don't know why, because we've always been respectful of the people that we've had come on. I think we've been fair. At least I know me especially, I always make sure that both sides get their arguments in. You're angry because when they come on here, they look stupid because they don't have an argument. That's it. It's not that we're awful people or anything that you said in that call was true. That's full of it. You're an awful person for spinning it that way. You're an awful person. I know you like to think that you're some Gandhi of Flat Earth, but you're not. You are just as crooked and just as much of a snake oil salesman and just as much of a fraud as the lot of them. You just don't like it when you look bad. And if you don't like looking bad, don't agree to come on and debate with the adults. If you don't have an argument, don't come play with the big boys. And it sounds like you might not actually be that stupid because you're saying now that you don't want to come on here, which I think is probably the smartest move you've ever made. Steve, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, Mark Sargent would leave comments on our videos. And granted, I will go on a limb here for the principle of charity. Maybe I read too much in what he wrote. If so, I will take the hit for that. But it sure seemed as if he was interested in, bringing something to the table when I had left him messages on the videos that he had commented on, that for the videos that he watched on our channel. But for him to say that we don't give Flat Earthers a fair platform is just absurd, because we do this every Saturday. They come on for hours. They spew whatever they can. We've sat there and said, here's your time. Go ahead. Give us some evidence. Never produced any. And as Kyle pointed out, and I think the greatest thing to Flat Earth to just destroy them was when Jaronism says, I don't have a model. No Flat Earther has ever brought a model. Why? Because there is none that works, Mark Sargent. You know this because you are a con man. You know for a fact that you're full of shit, and I will call you out personally. And if you ever have the balls to come on the show, I will one-on-one you.
There you go, Mark. If you think that you've got a case, then we will give you all the time you need and mute ourselves during the rounds. I have no problem being fair, but don't paint us like we don't give people the time, because we do. It's just that
lots of it.
You got to bring an argument to a debate. That's the thing. It's like somebody said one time, we like to go. We want a show where we can freely exchange ideas. That we want to make sure that we go in there and both sides are able to exchange ideas. Well, you have to have ideas first to be able to do that. So when you come to an exchange of ideas and you don't have ideas, you're going to look dumb, and you can blame it on whatever. Okay, so that's enough for the Flat Earth part. Let's get into some heresies. And
isn't it the same?
By the way,
thing?
I love the graphic. Yeah, well, yeah, it is. But take a second now, just in case. I can't imagine there is, but in case anybody doesn't know who you two are, you both have been on here before, and people have loved both. They adore Dr. Griffith and and you too, Jerry. So go ahead and introduce yourselves and let people know who you are and what you do and all that good stuff.
Well, okay, we are an old married couple who have nothing better to do than to lecture you about historical things that don't really affect your life in any way, shape, or form, because that's what we like to do. And get off my lawn. I have
Nice.
been a documentary filmmaker for a number of years, but I didn't make a lot of money at it, so I do other things, a lot of other video projects. And we did a lot of historical films together. Originally, she had a theater degree, and then we started doing historical films. We found out we liked them, and she decided, if I may speak for you, that she didn't like carrying equipment around and liked being the smart one. So she's the smart one, I'm the camera guy, and we tend to enjoy discussing things, and we've got a bunch of great ideas that we're never going to do. So we said, why not? You guys have a good, successful show. Why not?
Bomb
Waste
it.
your time.
Yes.
But I want to jump
like
in
it.
something here really quick, which is by way of introduction. Tomorrow you have a guy talking about the dangers of pseudoscience and snake oil. And in many ways, I think that's what we're going to talk about tonight as well. But from a historical perspective and from a time before science as we know it really existed. Science is a concept, a historian can correct me, kind of evolved over time. It didn't really exist in many ways before Francis Bacon, and the modern concept really was Karl Popper in the early 20th century. So they were dealing with weird ideas that people were throwing around that they felt were harmful. You know, that you're out here saying that God wants you to wander around naked and tickle other people's toes, and we think that's harmful to our society, and God will punish us. And so they were trying to squash the same kind of pseudoscience. They just didn't really have the advantage of science. So they could only attack in the terms of, this is what we think it says.
Yeah. Definitely the idea that even going back as far as 400 or 500 years BCE, before our current era, you had natural philosophers, people who dabbled in science, but didn't do it in a methodical way. Not until Archimedes shows up and is starting to do all sorts of interesting projects. But at the same time, you had Archimedes doing his physics projects. You had Eratosthenes, the librarian of the Library of Alexandria, doing his measurements about the circumference of the earth. But you also had a guy named Aristotle. And Aristotle, have you got him? And Aristotle was a philosopher who was the student of Plato, who was a student of Socrates. He never met Socrates. But Aristotle's father was a doctor himself, a physician. And so Aristotle was very much into the material world and what we could observe. But unlike other
Material world.
all right, and unlike your basic scientist who's going to test things, Aristotle merely used his logic to kind of logic his way to approaches. So in many ways, we're seeing in the period we're talking about, well, here's an image of the idea of what the cosmos was like. So we're seeing a time at which people are trying to logic their way to conclusions. And of course, because of Aristotle, because he was very early on translated into Latin, he became the preeminent philosopher. He was just talked about